and we're going to talk about events in React and set up some uh, things for those events to work off of and talk about forms a little bit. They set up in React. Where to start? Okay, cool. I started up. Actually, I just added some new data and images and stuff to the stuff we were working on yesterday. I haven't really had a chance to look at it yet, but let's take a look at it. How about that? Share that. Awesome. So this is what we've got. Let me put you all up over. This is what we've got so far. We did a bunch of poking around yesterday. I'm gonna show you the new data that we got here. So we got a bunch of images. Yeah, those are tarot cards. Good. And I grabbed a new data set. This one's a little bit more, a little thicker. It's got a bunch of stuff in it, but still has the basic bits that we need. A name, image, and yeah, description. Um, cool. So I'm going to use this data here. I'm actually going to replace our data that we were bringing in over here. And instead of having a key, what's the error it's giving me? Error is something expected. Export default. Yeah. Oh, we need another one of those. That's what it is. Bloom. Okay, cool. So we've got our data. We're exporting it the same as we did yesterday. We're gonna forget because I don't want to talk about fetch just yet. Cool. So let's take a brief look at what we had again. Again, attaching our stuff to the root here, grabbing that element by ID, rendering our app functional component in here. So whatever that function returns is going to be rendered into that component. And here it's returning just this. And if I didn't, we don't do that anymore. If I didn't mess it up too bad, we should just be able to do npm start. Where will it come up? Who knows? There we go, probably. So open that one up. Make this a little tidier. Cool. So we'll have extra thing here, start it up, and maybe it'll show up there. There we go. Cool. So we should have errors. Great. Great. And we don't have stuff there. Awesome. So cards. Let's see. What did we decide we're doing here? Importing card list from data. Card list. What's the error? Cards map is not a function. Oh, because we changed up the data. That's right. So the data now looks like this, and it's just going to be a tarot is the main key there. So cardless tarot, yeah, that looks right. Let's console log out look at. That should tell us what it looks like at least. No, cards map is not a function. Oh, there we go. There's our object hidden deep in there. Object is tarot. Oh yeah, because it's not an array. Tarot cards. Cool. That should give us something. Great. Awesome. So let's talk about events. First off, what are events? We know that already. Events are JavaScript's way of sending messages around. And they're usually triggered, or they're often triggered by things happening in the browser, whether that is something that happens automatically, like grabbing a new animation frame or page loading or whatever, to things that are initiated by the user. So button clicks, form submits, typing a field, moving your mouse, resizing of the screen. And so those things throw events. In JavaScript, we added an event listener to our elements that we grabbed, and then we assigned a function to them. This is not that different. This is instead of, since we are making our things right here, since we are putting our elements directly on the page through JSX, we're defining them with these functions. We're not going to add event listener. We're going to put them in as properties here on the, or attributes kind of on the elements. So the way we do that is by actually, let me do something simpler here. Just get rid of these for now. Just to clean up. So we can just export default that thing. We know what our data looks like, so we don't need a console log that. And yeah, I'm gonna undo this for just a minute. So we should just have our header. Great. Let's add a. Let's go forward. There we go. So let's add a button. Simple, and it's gonna look like anything else. In HTML, again, remember this is actually a function. That will put the button on the page. Great. So now we want to add a handler. Like I said before, we would add an event listener to the object of grabs. This time we're just going to put it straight on the element. So our simplest one, onClick. Nope. Fingers, come on. There we go. So onClick, and we have our curly brackets there. That means we're going to be giving it a JavaScript expression. In this case, it's going to be a function. So what's that function going to look like? You know, I'm just going to write a separate function right now just to keep it clean, so it's not all in one line. And so I'm going to call that function clicked. Handle click. Why not? And I'll write that function here. It takes an event, but I don't think we're going to use it here. We're just going to, you know what? Let's use some state. How about that? We can kind of review the stuff we were talking about yesterday. I just want to add a state to say whether it's been clicked or not. Clicked, set clicked. So I'm going to use state for that, and I'm going to set it to false. So, and we can look in our developer tools. Here we can say, hey, in ep, we have a prop here that, or we have a state here that is false. One of the tricky things is that it just kind of lists the states in order. It doesn't say what the functions are that you assign to them. And that's the one drawback there. But we know our one state that we have is false. Let's do that conditional rendering that we talked about a little bit yesterday, or touched on. So basically, I want to actually, let's keep the button there regardless. Actually, no, let's not do that. Let's have if the button has not been clicked, we'll show the button. If the button has been clicked, we'll show a message that says thanks. So we're going to put our curly braces here, and I'm going to put it around here for ease. And we're going to say, hey, is it clicked? And this is our ternary operator. So if it's been clicked, I'm going to have it return an H1. Why not? Thanks for the click. Cool. So if it is, and I'm going to, people differ on how to format things. If you're doing it all in one line, there's really no question. I like doing it with the question mark and colon at the front, so it's clear where it starts instead of question mark over here and colon over here. But again, matter of taste. And so if it if it's been clicked, if clicked is true, we will render out thanks for the click. If it has not been clicked, else we're going to show that button. So buttons there. We've added a thing. We'll make sure it works the same way it did before. Right now, it's not doing anything when we click it. So we're going to add that function. We're going to change that state. So we're going to update the state. So we're going to say set clicked is true. And again, this it doesn't matter in this example, but it doesn't happen instantaneously. It enqueues a request for it to change, and then on the next like tick, it changes stuff. So, and then since the state is changed, it's going to re-render, and it'll look at this again and say has been clicked. Yes, thanks for the click. Otherwise, button. So right now we can say set clicked is not defined. I bet it is. Set clicked. Did I spell it wrong? Set clicked. Set clicked. Oh, that's why. That function definition needs to be inside here. And just for consistency, I'm going to put them all in here. The reason it couldn't get that is because clicked was scoped to this function. And if I try to use it outside that function, it doesn't exist outside that function. So you can declare stuff inside functions as well. And in fact, after you kind of put this framework on, you kind of forget about it and just treat the inside of that function as the whole thing, unless you're not doing that. So here we go. Now we have our set clicked. We're using it. Let's see what happens. Click me. Hey, thanks for the click. Cool. And now we can see that clicked is true over here. So that's how to put an event on a thing. Clearly, it doesn't have to be that simple. Clearly, it will be less simple in the future. But this is basically it. So this is creating something to click on. And it doesn't have to be a button, right? It could be, we could make it another, let's make these H2s to be semantic. H2 there, or H2 and H2. So cool. So now it's just going to be a reload. It's going to have an H2 that says click me. And we click it, it says thanks for the click. So you don't have to put a click event on a button. I think the only thing that really, well, there's a bunch of things, but you can make anything click that you want, anything that can send a click event. And how do we know that? We can npm click event, not lick, it's a different programming language. And then we can find out, oh, it's on element. So any element is going to implement the click interface. So that's a super basic version of adding an event listener, which is our function there, to listen to an event and call a function. And here we're using a simple state to keep track of whether it was clicked or not. So any questions up to this point? Awesome. Cool. So let's get rid of this part for now. We don't really need this. And cool. So yeah, let's get these cards on the page first, and then we'll throw a form up and see what that looks like. So our data is a little bit different, right? We're going to say we're going to have a map. And what are we mapping on? Well, we're going to need to map over the cards. So we need to put the state in. And what does our data look like again? Cards. Each card is a little bit chunkier of an element. but it does have a name in each card. So I think app card name should still work there. Does it have an ID? I don't think it has a number. I'm gonna use that number for an ID. It's not iterating. I feel safe about it. But the name is right, and the image is IMG. Great, IMG. So we'll call that IMG. Awesome. And so now I can go back and render through that. Oh yeah, I kept it right here. That was smart, me. So again, we are going to use our curly brackets to execute the JavaScript expression and render out the results. We're going to take the cards that we set, and we are going to turn each one into a card element that looks like that, just like we did yesterday. And hopefully, great. We can see here, here's all of our things. Click into here. Here's our state with all the stuff in it. If we click into each card, that should have, oh yeah, just the title and the image, because that's all we put in. Awesome. So that's all the stuff we did yesterday. I think we actually have images this time. So what I did was throw the images in the public directory. And the public directory is basically if if React isn't rendering something and it gets a URL, look in that public directory. Otherwise, you get 404. So the images look like cards and then image name. So if we have cards, just looked at it, CO1 JPEG. Hopefully, hey, there's a buddy. Cool. So hopefully we can change that URL a little bit here to let's use a template literal. And I'm going to say it is cards. Put that in there. And I believe it has a .jpeg on it. Yep, great. I wonder if that'll work. Oh, look at that. Cool, cool, cool. So now I've got all the cards. And again, we can filter on whatever we want. So if we are searching like, oh, we only want the major arcana. So we can say here, we can say, where's our cards? So we can do it in our, I'm totally lost, turn the card. So we can say cards, we can filter. And for each card, we're only going to include it if the arcana is major arcana. So that should just give us the 22-ish cards, I think. Nope. There we go. And now it's only, yeah, only the major arcana. We could do it, only cups, whatever. So this is pretty much where we were yesterday with this, only now we have images to look at. How nice. What if we want to do new cards? So we can do that. This is, am I doing Tarot Toy Tale? I guess I am. Cool. Let's go ahead and throw a form up top. So I'm going to edit our header and just put a, let's do this. I'm going to do a little semantics here. I'm going to say return header. Inside the header, we're going to put this. And we'll, I don't know, we'll put a horizontal rule on it. Should do that with styling, but we're not. So now our header just has a little boop line after it and a semicolon. There we go. Boop. Great. Let's go ahead and add that form then, and we'll create a new component for the form. Why not? And we'll call it a new card form. Yeah, that sounds right. So let's go ahead and make that. I'm gonna close this up. And we're going to export our default function, card form. And if we have props, we'll put it in there, but we are not doing that yet, so chill. One of the cool things about using Skeleton is they have some really nice default form styling stuff. It was just here just a second ago. Forms there. So you can make forms look real nice by default. So just by saying form, and then we can put it in a grid. So put it in a row, all that stuff. I'm just gonna keep it simple though. So new card form is not defined. That's correct. It is not. We're going to import this. Just gonna say return boo, and then bring it into our app. Oh, it completes that. Now we should say bloop. There we go. So that's where our form is going to go. Let's just make that form up here. And again, I'm going to put an H horizontal rule at the end just for kicks. So our form is going to look like a form. And if we don't want to use parentheses, we can use fragments. So we could do that instead. Functionally identical, more or less. Matter of stylistic choice. Cool. Form. Notice we don't have an ID on this form because we're not getting that form by ID. Yeah. I'm just gonna grab a name and image because that's all we're displaying right now. And, I think I will do this just to kind of show off how it works. Columns. I don't want it to look like that. That's fine. I'll just put it, we'll just do rows. So inside here, we're gonna, let's name this row. Not as semantic as I'd like, but here we are. Input, type text. And we'll give it a name. Equals card name. Yeah, I think that's fine. Just make a little copy of that. I guess we should say, you know what? I don't want to get too fancy on the form. I'm just going to put the labels right here. It needs to be HTML4. Card name. And come down there. And I'm going to spell that right. Nanum. And this one is going to be for the card image. Hopefully that'll show up okay over here. Yeah, that's not too bad. And on the row, we'll make a submit button. And this is actually, well, do we want to do it as a submit? Yeah, let's do it as a submit. We're going to add submit. The reason we're doing as a submit, so input type input type equals submit. Value equals add new card. Great. So right now it doesn't do anything, but if we do hit the button, it's going to, you see that refresh there. Because it's submitting, it's submitting. So we don't want to do that. We want to do whatever we want. And the reason I'm using submit instead of a button is because submit has the nice property of if you type and then hit return, it'll send the thing. Otherwise, if you wanted to, you could just do a click. But Right now we're doing this. So let's give it a handler. And we're going to put the handler inside here. Call it on submit. Why not? And we'll just say submit, and this will have a, let's put it here, on submit equals on submit. This is going to take an event. And the first thing we want to do is prevent our default. Great. And now a lot of this is going to look familiar. So just to make sure we're doing that. Oh, I did the thing. No, I didn't. Cool. It should be logging. It should be just to make sure we're hitting that at all. Oh, it is reloading and not doing the prevent default. I'll submit. I'll submit. Why isn't it doing it? Giving me so much guff this time. Event on submit on submit. Prevent prevent default. I'm not changing any data yet, so it's not reloading that way. Why not good? Am I doing something wrong? Clearly I am. What is it? Type equals submit. Iniform on submit equals this function. Preventing the default on that EBND. Shouldn't matter there. What did I do wrong? Incorrect use. I don't think I'm doing it incorrectly. What did I do wrong here? Excellent question. Perfect default. That's how that works. What did I do wrong? Compiled with a warning. What's the warning? It's going to complain about the HTML4. Set cards isn't used. Yep. Yeah, that's all just complaints. Oh. Well, let me take care of these warnings while I think. Uh, let's take care of that warning. And set cards. Yeah, I thought so. Huh. Let me do that. Great. Why isn't it submitting? Or why is it submitting too hard? That's true. Thoughts? I don't think the name collides, but we'll see. Event prevent default. I'm still doing it. I'm doing something very simple wrong, I'm sure. prevent default, prevent. Doing it that way, great.
Do you need to put the event like or sorry, like the on submit up in like the form tag at
You
the
are
top?
so right. Yep. Talking too much and not thinking enough. On submit. Yep, that goes on the form. Hey. I always talk about like I'm doing this one. I'm like, oh, I still make this mistake all the time. There you go.
I think I had like that written on my notes somewhere. I would never have saw that.
It it's ridiculous how again, like I've been doing this forever. It's ridiculous how like a simple thing you stare at, like I'm spelling it right, right? I am. Cool. So, and that's why I do this little log. Just say like, instead of writing a whole bunch of code, being like, what part of my code isn't working? Just do a console log, and you can see if it's doing the thing or not. And then you can start working on it. Cool. Uh, so there's a few ways to get the thing, the stuff we need. Let's do it one way and then do it another way. So we are used to getting them straight off the event. So the event target, and let's just console log this for now. Console log event target, that's our form. Right, so if we click here, it's going to show us our form here with all the goodies. And since we have named our things, so I'm going to get the card image, we'll say, and that will get us the actual element of that. But what we want is the value. We need something in there. So cool. Now we can get that just the same as we did last time. So we can make a new little object. Am I rendering with the key of the number? I bet I am. Yeah, okay. Right now, I'm just going to go back to using the name. Cool. So now we want to update our data. Oh, I'm going to start teaching you stuff that I was going to do tomorrow. Okay, we'll do it anyway. So let's make a new object. Say new card. This is going to be an object, and it's going to have our up to the top. Here's our here's our card name, and here's our card image. So that's all we want to add here. So name and image. So our image is going to be this, and our name is going to be this. Or let's just log out of the object we made. Make that a const. Cool. And now, if we have the card images and JPEG, there's the object. Cool. Do I want to do this now? I do. This is skipping ahead a little bit, but we're gonna do it. So I want to somehow put this card into this array. So we can only pass props down. And props we can pass any value down. So thoughts on how we might be able to from a child, which is the form, change this. And just to make it simple, just to make it simple, we change the name of this first. Just to make it simple, I'm going to pull this and put it in our main code for a second. Let's put it instead of new card form. I'm just going to drop this form right in here. yeah, I'm keep it simple for now. And we'll keep the same event. And now we're not actually using this card form anymore. But I am going to cool. So now this should work the same. The form is just sitting there. Oh, on submit is not defined. I bet it is. Oh, it is. It is. On submit. On submit. Are we sure it's not defined? Did I do the same thing? Nope, it did. Okay, cool. Let's just reload. Great. So all of it's working the way it was before. And we've got our image with a card, or a card with a name and image. Great. So making it a little bit easier to think about. In our submit, we want to add this to this array here. How would we update that array with our new card? Or what ways do we have of updating our card list there?
We use the set cards function.
Would use the set cards function for sure. Cool. And since that is, just a function that's available inside here, as long as this is inside the main app function, we can use it. So we know we're getting our card right. So we want to do set cards. And again, this is replacing it. We're not just setting a new value. We are replacing the old value with this. Which means that we need to set the cards to the current list plus whatever we add. And just make sure that we're getting filtered right. And you know what? I am going to add a number. The number's going to be a random number. Not guaranteed unique, but probably. Cool. So how do we add? And I just changed some stuff. So let's see. I can't read properties of undefined. What? Undefined. Did I just like break that by adding that? Nope. I did something else. So the error is on undefined filter, undefined filter. Where is that? I'm going to assume it's on the filter here. Let me just take the filter off. Oh, for some reason our cards are undefined. Oh, because I'm setting it there. Yep, that'll do it. Setting it to undefined there. I'm doing that. Okay, cool. Let's add a thing again. And I took the console log out, of course. Computers are fun. Okay, cool. So yeah, there's our card number. Great. So we're using the set cards. So we can't just like pop it or push it onto the array, right? So what do we need to do? And again, there's a few ways to do it. What do we need to do here in the set cards to add our new card to the current list?
You do the spread, the ... original array, and then add the new one at the end.
Exactly. Yeah. And again, there are multiple ways to do it. This is what you're going to see most often, especially here. That's just kind of the idiom that we use, but I think it's that's my preferred way as well. So yeah, spread operator. So what we're doing is start off with an empty array. So we'll set the cards to an empty array. Then we want to spread out the current ones. And all that means is that instead of just putting the array in here, we're going to put each element of the array inside this new array. So it looks like that. So now this is exactly the same. And I'm going to put cool. Oh yeah, that's fine. The second one only comes up in development. So it's rendering, and since we are, it's going to be the exact same. We're rendering again, and we are not changing the list right now. We're just setting the cards to the same cards. Cool. So all we need to do, since this is just equivalent to saying object, 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 we can just add our new object here at the end. And in fact, let's look at our, so in our state, we got 80 or 77 cards. 77? Doesn't seem right. 78 cards, yeah. We got 78 cards under numbered 1 through 77. And so now if we throw the new one at the end, I'm going to throw in, gosh, what's a good image for a card? I'm just going to use this one here. Stress. Better fool. Cool. And so grab that image. Just gonna be that. So I'm going to add the new card, and we should see the new one pop onto the end there. Better fool. And if I scroll at the end, there's our better fool. Great. And you don't always have to put it on the end either. You can, if we're developing and we just want to see stuff show up on top here, we can say new card, cards. And so that'll put the new one first and put all the other stuff second. So we'll reload, and the one we added will go away. Let's put in better fool. The image name. M00. Great. Cool. There's our better fool. Hooray. And we can see here that we added it to the front. And it doesn't have all the extra stuff, but we're using that stuff right now anyway. Yeah. So that's how we use a submit to add a new thing here. Questions?
Can you scroll up and show us again where like set cards is at the top there?
Yeah. So when we say use state, we are setting it with an initial value, which we're getting from our data there. And then use state's going to return these two functions in an array. And we can, this is our destructuring of that array into the value and the setting the value. And we can actually see what that looks like here. Rendering page with I'm just going to count the cards here. So if we go back to our console here, reload, we're running the card with 78. If we put more stuff here, now we've got 79. So that's going to change. That is going to fire off whenever it renders because it's just the thing that's in the function. But let's do this. What happens if we take this? So we are doing our submit, we're setting the cards and doing a console log. It says, cool, now we're gonna have this many cards. What number do you expect to be in there? Wes.
I have a feeling it's not gonna update.
Mm-hmm. Your feeling is correct. And that is because the the setters asynchronous. So it's almost like imagine when you're doing a setter here, imagine you're almost like doing a fetch to set it. It says, cool, I'm going to send off a request to add that. When it changes, when it actually does change, then it's going to re-render. And we can prove that is true by reloading. So rendering the page with 78 cards. I'm going to add my card with garbage in it. And it says, hey, now 78 cards. But when it renders, it says 79. So when you add the thing, it's still, the state hasn't updated until the render happens. Or the render happens when the state updates more accurately. Everyone's going to run afoul of this at some point. You're going to be like, I don't know why it's not working. I'm setting it and I'm logging it out and it's not showing up. Setters are asynchronous. Setters are asynchronous. Man, I can't talk today either. Asynchronous. Cool. So that's that. Ask me some questions about this. There's a lot.
For the set cards thing, can you not use like a dot push there?
You cannot.
Okay.
I mean, so you can. It's just not going to work. Or it's not going to work the way we think it is probably. It may appear to work, but we'll see what that looks like. So if I say new cards, push our new card. Nope. So the array is a const, but we can still add things. Remember, we're putting new furniture in the house. What do you think is going to happen here?
I don't know.
Take a guess.
Will it just show the new card and that's it?
Let's see. So a couple questions we would have to answer. We can try it. Great. Experimentation is the best. Thinking through it. Set cards. We're setting cards to whatever value we're passing it. So what does cards push return? If we don't know, we can look it up.
It's the same array as opposed to a copy?
Yeah. So it returns the new length of the array. So instead of having an array there, we're going to get 79. And we can see that when we get an error, when it tries to render out, it tries to do a map on 79. Or filter, map and filter. You can't do that over and over. And I think if this is going to be cool, it's not going to be cool. No, okay, cool, yeah. So first thing we would do would be look what that does. But maybe we don't, maybe we're like, oh, okay, cool. I'm just going to take this out here. I'm going to do this out here, and then I'm just going to set it to cards. What do we expect to happen here? That seems more reasonable.
With the setter, can you not push directly onto the cards? That first cards dot push new card won't work, right?
Well, let's take a look. Let's add let's close the console. Add our garbage. Add something new at the end there. I don't think so, or maybe it did. We're just filtering out. But we can look in our tools here. Components. Hey, look at that. It didn't. It did add it. 78. So why didn't it update it? It has the major icon tag, so it should be showing up. Why didn't it show up? Any ideas? And this is kind of deep React magic. Not-
So it only re-renders when it shows it as changed, but we changed it before we called the thing that would have changed it, so it didn't see it was changed.
I think you're shooting in the right direction. Yeah. So remember when we create an array, cards is actually going to be like, OX, blah, 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 blah. So it's going to be the memory location. When we push onto it, this is the reference. When you push onto it, this doesn't change. So we say, okay, cool. Push the same thing, or we're changing the contents inside here, but we're not changing the address, the reference. And so when we say set cards to the same thing, it's like, okay, cool, I'm going to set it. Oh, wait, I already have that thing. That's the same thing. Never mind. I'm not going to update. So if you're setting it to the same array or the same object, it's going to think it is the same thing. It just doesn't know that the contents have updated. Yeah, so it usually won't render. Every once in a while it might, just be, depending on what the state of the internals are, but you can't count on it. So the short version is this one thinks it's the same array, and it is the same array, just with different contents, whereas this one is a completely new, fresh array. So it's like, cool, you sent me to a new thing, I'm going to re-render. And hope I'm not lying. There we go. Great. Did that part make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense now.
So same thing if it was like, oh, my user count is 3. If I try to set user count to 3 again, it'll be like, I'm not re-rendering. It's already 3. So yeah, when objects and arrays always have to set a new value. Occasionally, it will work sometimes, seemingly arbitrarily, but that is also not good, because then it thinks that one is the old one, or the new one. It thinks the new one is the old one, and you get rendering problems that are difficult to track down. So yeah, and I don't, did it give us a warning? It will often, it didn't give us any warning. It'll often say like, don't directly update the thing. I think now with hooks it doesn't do it anymore, because you really can't. But in the bad old days, it used to be messier. Yeah, so upshot, when using reference types like lists and objects, you always have to replace them, and that replacement happens asynchronously. Cool. More questions about this? Cool. One little thing that well, do I want to talk about it now? Maybe. I'll leave it on a cliffhanger. For various reasons, we don't always want to grab the thing right out of the thing. We don't want to grab the data for stuff from a form from the event target itself in React. The kind of current idiom of how to do things is by making the form fully controlled. What that means is that anytime you change the value of a form element by typing in it or by selecting something, clicking a radio button, anytime you change something in the HTML of the form, we want to update a value in state. So we might have something that looks like new card name, set new card name. And we're going to use a useState. And we're going to set it to an empty string. And do the same thing for the imagey. Cool. And so now we want to make sure the form kind of matches. So we are going to set the value of this to new card name. And we're going to set the value of this to new card image. And then we're going to put a onChange on these. So now whatever the value is here is going to be reflected here. Now we want to make sure that we set that state with whatever's here. And I'm just going to drop in an onChange here and say, yeah, there's a little arrow function here. OnChange is when someone changes the value, the contents of the form. I'm going to set new card name. And this is where we want to use the target here. Because we're changing here, target. So now when this changes, nope, I need to learn how to type. There we go. So now when this changes, someone types in it, it's going to update that state. And we can kind of do the same thing here. I'm going to do set. What do I have an extra one up there? There we go. Cool. So now when we type in either of these, it's going to update our state. And then in our submit, we are just going to set it with the new card name, new card image. And so this difference feels minor. It worked the other way. But this way, it's kind of, again, removing, like pulling it away from the HTML a little bit more. So this way we know that this state is always going to be the data. And this form is always going to represent the state. Why do we want to do that? Two reasons. So we can kind of decouple anything that is not HTML or JSX from the functionality. So we never really have to think about HTML or JSX outside of that. We can just use our state here. Also, since this is reflecting this, if we set the state somewhere else, it will update the form. And before we go nuts here and say that I'm lying, does it work the same? It works the same. So this is a fully controlled form. It's something that's on the code challenge, and you may have done exercises already or will be doing them soon. This is just the teaser. I will go more in depth later on. I think we have enough in our brains right now. And we'll probably just come back to this one tomorrow and add information flow and talk a little bit more control forms. But I think that's all I want to hit today. An hour is enough of me talking. What questions you have about this? A lot of new stuff. Or is everyone's brain just full? Awesome. Any questions about any of the stuff sort of around this that you've seen in labs or exercises that you haven't quite got yet? Or anything here like high level conceptually that doesn't make sense? I'm gonna take that as a no. Great. Cool. That's a lot of stuff, a lot of talking from me. Yeah, I think that's enough. I'll put the recording of this up in the usual places in my playlist and in the channel. Last call for questions. All right. Cool. Thanks for hanging out. Video will be up soon, and I'll see you in a little bit.